2 days ago, the Ottawa Senators scored their very first hat trick against the Detroit Red Wings. It was none other than Matthew Joseph who came in here with however many points. I believe it was his 5th point in 5 games or something like that ever since getting sent over to Ottawa from the Lightning. But he had himself 3 goals and an assist in Detroit's 5-2 loss. Again, the very first hat trick any Ottawa Senator has ever scored against the Red Wings. And it gets even funnier when you realize the second ever hat trick scored by a Sen against the Red Wings was accomplished today by Josh Norris, the guy's very first hat trick in his NHL career. My goodness, the Erik Karlsson trade looking very good for the Ottawa Senators, but the Red Wings, dude. 2 straight 5-2 losses to the Ottawa Senators, giving up hat tricks in both of these games. You also have yourselves what was this stat published by Ken Daniels. That's the 25th empty net goal against Detroit. That's Norris's final goal on the game, and the 6th first career hat trick against Detroit this season. Now, for those of you that are watching this channel and who are familiar with my content, you know that I'm a Red Wings fan. They're my 3rd favorite team. I adore the prospects. I adore Steve Yzerman. Everything about this organization heading into the future, I'm a big fan of. But when it comes to the way this team has been playing the past, let's say, few weeks, what was that crazy stat? The Red Wings are averaging like 5 goals against per game spanning the past little while here. It's been, for lack of a better term, very upsetting for Red Wings fans watching this team going out there and playing the way they have been these past few games under Jeff Blashill. It's almost like the Red Wings of yesteryear and 2 years ago have been cut and pasted onto this current 2022 team. Aside from, I guess, Moritz Seider and maybe the first line, there haven't really been too many hot performances that you can cheer for and actually pay attention to the point where now it's like, okay, let me know in the comments, how many more games do you think the Red Wings are actually going to win based off of how they've been playing the past few weeks? The Red Wings right now, if you take a look at their standings, 26, 34, and 9. How many games is that total? 26 plus, sorry, I don't have the entire games played statistic in front of me right here, so 69 games on the season, they've got 13 more. How many of those 13 do they actually win? Let me know in the comments, how many do you think? But when it comes to the way this team has been playing, okay, the players have gotten cold. Okay, the goaltending has gotten cold. Okay, the team chemistry is all over the place. It's not really all too great. Who is supposed to be the guy that is ultimately on top of that? Well, it is indeed Jeff Blashill. And when it comes to the way that Blashill has been coaching this Red Wings team, we have ourselves a few insider notes and rumors that have popped up that spark some very interesting conversations as to how this team is being coached. This was from a week ago, but I kind of held off on making a video about it, mostly because there were other topics that I thought were intriguing as well. But on episode 115 of the DFO Rundown show on Daily Faceoff, we have ourselves a quote from Frank Seravalli as to how exactly things have been going on in Detroit. Now, a link will be in the description for the actual audio itself. It's on dailyfaceoff.com, but we're heading over onto wingsnation.com instead, because what they did was they actually transcribed the quote that Seravalli had. It makes it easier for me to screenshot and put it on the screen so you can follow along. Daily Faceoff hockey insider Frank Seravalli commented on the state of the Red Wings in the wake of their embarrassing 11-2 loss to the Penguins on Monday's edition of the DFO Rundown podcast with Gregor and Yaremchuk. Asked by Yaremchuk whether the Red Wings would elect to keep Blashill on as head coach for the rest of the season, Seravalli remarked that there's no reason for the Wings to make a change before the offseason, before shedding some more light on the situation inside Detroit's locker room. I will say, they keep Jeff Blashill just because it isn't that long ago that he signed his last extension. It was, what, last year? It hasn't been too long. I'm going to say they keep him, but I think there's been some considerable friction there, at least with what I've heard, between the coach and some of the younger players, which I think when you're a team that's building towards something, he's been there a long time, that's not necessarily the friction you want to have. This article on wingsnation.com then talks about Blashill saying that he's been the coach since the 15-16 season. He is the second longest tenured NHL coach behind John Cooper of the Lightning, so yeah, it still kind of blows my mind that Blashill has been here for this long, but either way, that is the case of how things have gone down. And so when it comes to the idea of there being friction between the younger players in the team and Jeff Blashill, I know one name that comes to my mind that probably doesn't have this problem, Adam Ernie, because the guy gets played all the time in probably more situations than I feel comfortable giving him ice time. Look, no disrespect to Adam Ernie, it's just, if you talk about players probably feeling some friction with this head coach, I'd put money down that Ernie is not one of them based off of how he's being deployed by Blashill and the Wings. But either way, when you talk about the other players on the team, like, who on this Red Wings squad is legitimately not young? You know? Like, if you go over onto the Elite Prospects page for the Red Wings and you sort by age, you have Thomas Greiss, Mark Stahl, Sam Gagner, Carter Rowney, and Danny DeKeyser all at over 30 years old, and then everybody else is younger than that. Sundqvist is 28, Pickard is 29, Osterley is 29, and you go even further down, I mean, everybody else on the team is under 28, and I think you could realistically say that young guys, or at least the term young guys, could apply to anybody here. Is Larkin a young guy? I'd say he's a pretty young guy. Same with Fabry, same with Hronek, even Wallman and Vrana, Ulevi, these guys are all in their 25, 26, 27 range. They would all count as young, and in fact, if you want to get even younger, okay, Sider Raymond, 20 years old, Veleno, Zadina, Rasmussen, 22, Giovanni Smith is 24, Lindstrom is 23. When you talk about there being friction between the young players and Blashill, young players is a blanket that covers like 85% of the roster. So when it comes to trying to identify who might be feeling any friction between them and a coach, it's really difficult to pinpoint just from one sentence over here from Seravalli saying that, according to his sources, there's some considerable friction between the coach and some of the younger players. Also, that's plural, so it's not just one guy. But either way, friction or not, losing or winning, I do think that Seravalli has a good point here when he says that the Red Wings don't really have anything to gain by firing Blashill now. Like, he's most definitely not going to be the head coach of this team next season, right? Based off of the direction the team is going down, you want to see where they're going with their younger players and the prospects coming into the system, graduating from Grand Rapids to Detroit and all that. With this considerable friction, quote-unquote, and the way the team is playing today, I would be very intrigued to Steve Yzerman's press conference if he goes out there and says in September that Blashill is indeed going to be the guy coming back. So at this point, it's just a matter of time, right? Waiting it out until the end of the season, seeing where this team goes from there at the draft and the offseason, where they go with their coaching and the trades, etc. Because for now, I mean, look, it's tough to watch the games, I feel that. It's been a very growing sentiment amongst the fan base that as these games have been going on, as these hat tricks have been scored against the Wings, as all the 5-goal games have been posting themselves up on the board, it's been a lot more dreary and uninspiring watching these games today. Sure, you're still getting some Sider points, you're still getting some Raymond goals here and there, but hockey is still a 60-minute game, and a lot of the Red Wings have not been playing a full 60-minute effort this entire month and a bit, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah, month, okay, it's only April 3rd, but even spanning back to last month, it's been pretty bleak. And so, for today's Red Wings, the Red Wings of Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, is it fair to say that Jeff Blashill doesn't really have that excuse anymore? The excuse, oh, he's got a bad team in front of him. Of course he's got a bad record. There's no way anybody could go out there with this team like he had a year or 2 years ago and produce positive results. Well, this season has been a slow decline after what was a pretty okay start, especially for the Red Wings standards, into just lazy, unmotivated play in the past few weeks here. So for Jeff Blashill, it's like he took what was an already well-oiled machine in Detroit and through more experiments with line juggling and deployment, etc. Now this machine barely runs at all. And they're giving up 5 goals a game. So Jeff Blashill, whatever the future holds, we'll see what Steve Yzerman and co decide with the team. But either way, let me know in the comments all your thoughts about the idea of there being considerable friction between Blashill and some of the younger players on the team, according to Frank Seravalli. What do you think of the Red Wings in their recent showcase against the Ottawa Senators? 2 straight 5-2 losses, 2 straight games with hat tricks scored in them. And it doesn't really look all too great, does it not? Let me know in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.